it's WICR. This is the all-new WICR.
Good morning. Welcome to Monday Mornings here on WICR. I'm Matt Ricker.
I'm Kate Adriani, and we're back on, what is this, the 14th of November?
Yes, it's already November 14th. We are just a little over a week until Thanksgiving. Can you believe that?
No, I really can't because it's flown by too quickly. Like,
I know.
We were just doing a Halloween show, and now we're going to talk about Thanksgiving. Like, it's crazy how time flies, to be quite honest. Last week we were talking about the election, which is over.
Oh, wait. Last week? Oh, so this is our first post-election show.
This is our first post-election show.
Oh.
I know you've done a couple, but
Yeah, no, because I had my show on Thursday, so that I talked about it on there too. But boy, what a heck of an election it was. I was here until about 11 covering it, but it was nowhere near over when it was at 11 o'clock on Election Day. The results didn't really come in until about 3 or 4 on Wednesday morning. But as I'm sure if you haven't, then something's wrong there. But we have Donald Trump, who's now our president, the new president-elect. And he actually spoke to 60 Minutes last night for an exclusive interview with Lesley Stahl. His family joined him as well. But he did kind of change some of his points on some of the main issues. So it says here in this article from Fox News that President-elect Trump is willing to keep parts of Obamacare. I actually did watch the interview as well, but he also appeared to back off from committing to build a solid wall, telling CBS's 60 Minutes that the barrier might look more like a fence as opposed to an actual solid wall. So, I kind of sense that from the beginning, because imagine all that time and money to build a however many feet wall.
it's going to take too much money and too much time that no one's going to want to support giving that much money to build a wall.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah. So, I mean, I understand in some areas of the border, I'm sure a wall, a solid wall is necessary, but other parts, you could use a fence. But moving back to Obamacare, he has said he will keep 2 of the main key provisions, which is one of them being that you can keep your child or children on the health insurance until age of 26, and also insurers will not be able to deny someone if they have a pre-existing condition such as cancer or any other disease like that. So that's good to hear. I felt good when I heard that. So he has said throughout the duration of his campaign that it will be replaced and redone, but that probably isn't going to happen because he'll keep those 2 main provisions, which is good. And he said that securing the border is his very first immigration priority, and he also promised to deport people living in the country illegally who have committed crimes beyond their immigration offenses. So that's it. I mean, if you're an illegal immigrant and you're, if you work, you pay taxes, you contribute to society, you're fine. It's just the ones who are criminals that will be deported. So, no fear there. I mean, I understand where people are coming from, that they're very fearful of what this new administration can bring. But, I mean, if you just watch the 60 Minutes interview, he means what he says. And just try to be hopeful and just try to give him a chance. Both Kate and I have seen, and I'm sure a lot of you have seen it as well. There's been a lot of negativity on social media. Hashtags to the extent of hashtag not my president.
I understand that, and I understand people are frustrated. I don't mean to cut you off, but it's annoying. I'm not going to lie to you. It's absolutely obnoxious.
Yeah.
And to be quite honest, people need to understand. The country elected him president. We are all in this together. Like my mom had said, saw something the other day. I think I saw it on Facebook too. It's like, we all he's our next president, and wishing him to fail is like having him as a pilot who you want your plane to go down.
I heard that analogy as well,
And it's very true. You want him to fail. That means the entire country is going to fail.
yeah.
You don't want that, and nor does the country need that. And it's time. I understand people that you're frustrated, and I understand if you voted one way or another. Like,
Yeah.
the things that he said about women. I really hope he doesn't mean what he said in the locker room talk, and those things upset me as a female. But he needs to understand that there are other people like in this world that I think people understand that people don't like him, but I think it's time for people to say, all right, we just can't say we want him to fail, because that's not going to do us any good.
Right.
It's only going to do harm, and I think people need to start realizing that and understanding that, because if we don't, I think
No,
it's gonna be a horrible time for 4 years.
Yeah.
And the first 2 years, he's gonna try to figure out how to be the president of the United States, which is gonna take him a while. Then the next 2 years, he'll probably he's gonna re-campaign for the presidency,
Mm-hmm.
and that's 2 years when the campaigns start. So he's really, by the time, if he gets elected for a second term, that's when the changes are going to come. It's not going to come within the first 100 days. He's not going to get things passed in the first 100 days. I saw something last night that he's not going to live in the White House full time.
Yeah, I did hear that. Which, I think the article, it was on the New York Times. I saw it on Twitter, and I apologize. The Facebook Live is giving me a lot of problems, so stay with us. Well, I'm working on it, working on the technical difficulties. But yeah, I did see that article on Twitter last night about he may not live in the White House
And he's not taking vacations?
Yeah. Yeah, he said actually in his interview that he has no intentions as of right now to take vacations because he wants to get right to work.
Okay, I get that, but
no,
that's
everyone needs a little vacation, but maybe because if he lives in the White House part time, that'll be considered a short-term vacation when he goes back to New York. And in the article, it states that that's not atypical for presidents
No.
to just settle right into the White House. Like, they can go back and forth, as many congressmen do and congresswomen. They do a lot of back and forth, to their home districts, and most live back in their home state. So that isn't unusual for a president.
No, it's not. But I think people need to understand that, he's the president. He's going to do what he wants. But, it's going to be interesting.
Okay, now we are back on Facebook Live. Hopefully it stays. Also, now going back to that interview there on 60 Minutes, he could remake these, or more like will remake the Supreme Court agenda. And sorry, I just lost my my place there.
That's okay.
Okay. Yeah. So one of the quotes he said, "It'll be just fine. We're not going to have a 2-day period, and we're not going to have a 2-year period where there's nothing." He's referring to Obamacare there, but he was also asked about Hillary Clinton and whether he would appoint a special prosecutor to, bring the case against her with the whole email issue. And he did make a promise during the second presidential debate against Clinton during a rhetorical duel that ended with Trump saying, if he was president, quote, "you'd be in jail," end quote. And
Great.
He also said in the interview that, quote, "she did some bad things. I mean, she did some bad things," end quote, Trump said, to which Leslie Stahl responded, "I know, but a special prosecutor," end quote. And he also said quote, I don't want to hurt them. I don't want to hurt them, Trump said. They're good people. I don't want to hurt them. So he respects the Clintons. And he also described the phone call that he got from Clinton when she conceded to the election. She congratulated him, in his victory speech. That's a good word there. He really was sincere when he was, about the Clintons, which was good to see. Like he's definitely changing when it comes to being more presidential and being more he's very much calmer now, since he doesn't have to be so aggressive since he's not campaigning anymore,
I think that's a better look for him.
Yeah,
not gonna
definitely.
lie.
Yeah.
I'm telling you because he's just, I think dealing with him, I think he tries to like put all of those like robust things out there and tries to be like this, I think, macho person, and I don't think that's a smart way for him to go.
Right.
And I think he needs to understand that people don't particularly like that. So hate to say it, but really don't. I really hope he changes and hope he does well for the country, because wishing him to do ill will is not going to go over very well.
Right. And going back to the Supreme Court, he vowed to nominate a Supreme Court justice that would be pro-life and pro-Second Amendment. However, the president-elect showed no interest in relitigating last year's Supreme Court decision legalizing gay marriage on an issue of departure between him and Vice President-elect Mike Pence. And he said, quote, "It's irrelevant because it's already settled. It's law. It was settled in the Supreme Court. I mean, it's done," end quote. He also went on to say, "I'm fine with that." And he, so he's not planning on doing anything, when it comes to gay marriage or anything. So
No.
as you see in that interview, he respects that. He's not going to, or he doesn't have the power to overturn anything that the Supreme Court does. So, I understand, again, the fears and everything, since they're a minority, so I'd say just be hopeful, as I said. And then moving to all the protests, both violent and peaceful, he touched on those protests that have been breaking out since the election, complaining the coverage represented a double standard. And he said, if Hillary had won and if my people went out in protests, everybody would say, oh, that's a terrible thing. And he also went on to say, and it would have been a much different attitude. There is a different attitude, end quote. However, the president-elect said that he was, quote, saddened by reports that some of his supporters had harassed minorities since Tuesday's vote. He then looked directly in the camera, and I say, stop it. I will say this, and I will say it right to the cameras, stop it. Which I think was very effective. He will have to do more to address that, such as holding a press conference. But he also told 60 Minutes that he would not accept the $400,000 a year annual salary for the president, taking only $1 a year. So that is good to hear. That will save some of our taxpayer dollars that can be put to work somewhere else. So he's a billionaire. He doesn't need that. He doesn't need that salary. So we could put it in different areas. So.
Well, that's a good thing that he has said, I'm not going to take anything, and I think there's other presidents who have done that in the past. It's not uncommon. So
and Mayor Mike Bloomberg, the former mayor of New York City, did that as well. He didn't take the salary. He just gave it right back. But they are legally, they have to take at least $1, just to even things out there. But on another note, regarding the president-elect, he picked his two top advisors and split power in two. So
interesting. That's not something that normally is done.
Did you hear on the two picks that he picked?
No, I really have tried to stay away from that this weekend.
Well, I'll tell you right now. He picked Rinus Travis, it's a weird name, sorry, the chairman of the Republican National Committee and a loyal campaign advisor to be his White House chief of staff, turning to a Washington insider whose friendship with House Speaker Paul Ryan could help secure early legislative victories. So this is according to the New York Times. So I personally think it was a great pick for him. He's the leader of the Republican Party, and he stood by him through thick and thin throughout his campaign. And when things were going wrong, when all these controversies broke out, he was able to hold on to that Republican support for Donald Trump. The other pick, on the other hand, is Steve Bannon, who is a right-wing media provocateur, and he has named Mr. Bannon senior counselor and chief West Wing strategist, and this signals an embrace of the fringe ideology long advanced by Mr. Bannon and continuing disdain for the Republican establishment. So you have a 50-50 type of leadership there. It's almost, I kind of think of it as one will be like checking and balancing out the other. Steve Bannon does have some controversies that are coming out, such as, he assaulted his wife and all this stuff, which was decades ago. But it looks like it's a good start to his transition team, and Vice President-elect Mike Pence is heading that transition team after Chris Christie, the governor of New Jersey, is out. Well, I shouldn't say he's out. He was moved down to vice chairman for the transition team, so it's unclear why he did that. Maybe the Bridgegate scandal caused that.
Probably. It's Chris Christie. I mean, I don't know. So is that going to mean that New Jersey's going to have to pick somebody else?
No, because he'll still be the governor, because it's only like a temporary role.
Oh, okay.
So after he starts in January, then there'll be no more transition team, I don't think. But if say, Trump wants Christie in one of his cabinet positions, then yes, he will have to give up his
post in New Jersey, which I feel like some people in New Jersey would be okay with that. So.
Yeah. And then there's some speculation who could be picked next for Attorney General. Not Mike Pence. Rudy Giuliani, the former mayor of New York City, may be picked as Attorney General or Secretary of State.
Oh, yay. I don't know what people are going to say to that one. I saw something on the internet that people were like really not excited for him to be part of his cabinet. Yeah. Because some people just cannot stand him.
No, he could be a little, or not a little, he could be a radical at times.
Yeah. I mean, pretty radical. I mean, sometimes I saw people were like, please no. Like, we already have two of them in head positions. We do not need him as Secretary of State. And especially because Secretary of State has a huge job and they deal with the foreign affairs as well.
Yeah.
We don't need to get into World War III with people.
I know. I hope not.
And especially sometimes if people, I think some people are like, if we have him in that position, it's not going to be okay.
And he also might pick Kellyanne Conway, who is the Trump campaign manager or chairman. I'm sorry, chairwoman. Excuse me. I forget the title. I think she was the main person in the campaign. So he might choose her for something. I'd like to see that. She's very intelligent, very knowledgeable, but unclear. Of course, this is all speculation. Anyone can be picked. They have nearly 6,000 positions to fill before January, so that's a big job. So many cabinet
all of those people, it's gonna be a tough one.
And I just heard this morning, according to The Hill, World Wrestling Entertainment executive Linda McMahon might be picked for director of commerce. So
Isn't it
and
Commerce Money? No.
and she she actually ran against Senator Blumenthal.
Oh, I know. I'm from Connecticut. Yep. Yep.
You saw, even here, we saw those ads day after day, and the things in the mail.
Excuse me. Why you guys live in New York? Like it makes no sense. Like,
yeah,
why?
we got.
It's not like you can't. It's not like you can vote for them.
I think it's because
Connecticut.
when they do commercials, it's like for the tri-state area. So
Let me tell you, Linda McMahon. My mom used to work for Linda
really,
at WWE. Shout out to my mom who's probably listening. Yeah, she used to work for them for WWE. So I went to like the headquarters and stuff in Stanford. I mean it's cool. I mean I
nice.
got a lot of nice stuff from there. Like a Hulk Hogan bear. It's like this bear dressed as Hulk Hogan. I mean it was a cool place, but it's just I don't know, like I'm not into wrestling and so it's
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not into wrestling either. But yeah, no, that'll be interesting to see there. But I think that's all I have for
Perfect.
politics. And quickly before we take a break, I just saw someone walk by our station, and also when I walked in this morning, that I saw Starbucks updated their menus to red, Christmas menus, and they have their red cups back with designs. So
I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about the holidays next. So
Yes.
it's coming quickly. So
I know.
we'll take a bit of a break and then we'll be back.
All right, sounds good.